This is Wanuri Kahiu. This is a filmmaker who makes movies against Africa. This is a person who typifies what is known as a coconut in modern day Kenya. A coconut, just so you know, is an African who is brown on the outside but white on the inside with a whole lot of empty space full of water. A coconut is an African who pretends to be white, or who is so brainwashed that they actually literally believe that they are a Mzungu. So Wanuri Kahiu is the perfect example of what we call a coconut. She is famous for producing a movie about lesbianism. And according to her own website, she is part of Afro Bubblegum, which is a collective of African, in quotes, artists whose ambition is to create fun, frivolous, and fierce work. 3 F's, F, 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 which is the same as saying 666. So basically, there's this new crop of Africans in Kenya, in the entertainment industry, who have been recruited into part of the global Luciferian agenda. And they're pushing for that agenda as they prepare the way for Dajjal. Now, basically, we're having a situation whereby these people have sold their souls and have sold out to the Mzungu abroad, so that they are given money to push agendas that have really nothing to do with us. This is the way treason happens in Africa today, whereby foreign interests promote Africans who will push for agendas that are totally harmful to Africa. As far as I'm able to establish, people like Wanuri Kahiu are the new face of evil. This is the new enemy that we need to be very careful about, because they're doing everything within their power to undermine whatever African means, Africanness, the essence of being an African. This is what they're paid by their foreign masters to undermine. So one of her claims was that she was trying to empower women in producing this disgusting movie that she made. And for me, the tragedy of this situation is that when you give narratives such as this narrative that she went to make a movie out of, there's an opportunity cost, and the opportunity cost is all the amazing African stories that remain untold until today. You know, when we were growing up, we were hoping that one day maybe movies could be made by Africans about Africa. But sadly, what has emerged is that the new crop of Africans that are making movies are not making movies about Africa. They're making movies about Mzungus in Africa and their agenda in Africa. I was just thinking, think about this. Of all the amazing women we've had in history, we've had so many amazing women in history, such as, I'm going to start as far back as possible. I mean, if Wanuri Kahiu was serious about, promoting, the female agenda, she could have done so many movies about so many amazing women in history, amazing African women in history. If she was serious about doing stories about, promoting women, she could have done a story about the Kenyan freedom fighter called Mekatilili Wamenza. She was amongst Kenya's first freedom fighters, and she was from the coastal area of Kenya, and she was an activist against colonialism, against colonial taxation, colonial exploitation. And she became such a thorn in the flesh of the British that she was arrested. That's how cowardly they were, arresting women. She was arrested and deported. After a couple of years, after she had been, not even deported, she was exiled. After being forcibly exiled, she escaped from the prison the British had put her in, and she went back to her own, her home village, and she continued with her campaign. She was arrested again by the British. This time she was deported, I think, to Somalia and exiled there. But guess what? She escaped and went straight back to her village and continued with her political campaigns opposing the British. I mean, such a woman deserves a movie, right? You'd think so, right? But not according to Wanuri Kahiu. No, according to Wanuri Kahiu, it's harlots deserve a movie, not true heroes like Mekatilili. And don't forget, Mekatilili was actually a mother. So she was sacrificing a lot to fight for the freedom of her people. But she does not deserve a movie, according to the coconuts. The other amazing woman is Muthoni Nyanjiru, who was killed in 1922. And what had happened was, earlier that year, there was a political party led by Harry Thuku, and they were campaigning against British colonialism. And this was like just 25 years after the British had created a military occupation government. So Harry Thuku starts his political party and starts fighting for freedom, demanding, African rights from the British. Because the British, what they had like a small parliament called a legislative council, which had 17 people. And of those 17 people, I think 12 were Europeans, and I think 4 were Asians, and 1 was an Arab. There were no Africans allowed into the Legislative Council. As you very well know, the entire world always gangs up against us. And so Harry Thuku was like, this is not acceptable. So he starts fighting for political space. And he's arrested by the British. And once they take him to court and they take him to the local jail, a crowd forms outside the jail. And the British call the soldiers. And so the crowd starts to disperse. But Muthoni Nyanjiru starts to encourage people not to fear and not to run away. And she even made the men take an oath that you have to stand up and, and oppose this oppression. As things turn out, the British opened fire, including a lot of white settlers seated in the hotel, because there was a hotel right next to the jail, and it had like a balcony, and there were many white people seated on that balcony, the residents of the hotel, the people staying at the hotel, having their afternoon tea. And as the British soldiers opened fire on the crowd, which was like 50% of women, the white settlers who were seated on the balcony also took their guns and started shooting into the crowd. So they massacred all these women. One of the first people to get killed was Muthoni Nyanjiru. She gave her life fighting for the freedom of Africans. You would think that she deserves a movie, right? You'd think that she deserves respect, right? But no, not according to the coconuts. According to the coconuts, she deserves to be forgotten. And she's been forgotten. Not a single street is named in her honor. Not a single statue has been built to her name. And when Wanuri Kahiu made a movie, she did not make a movie about Muthoni Nyanjiru. No, absolutely not. as a coconut, she immediately made a movie about, prostitutes. This is how disgusting these coconuts are. I always say that the main enemy that we have in Kenya are the coconuts. As long as this class of people remain in total control over our culture, over our education system and political systems and economic systems, then the country can never progress, because they are there to represent foreign interest in Kenya. They are not there to represent our interests. In fact, they despise that they are Africans. They aspire to be Mzungu. And so they push the Mzungu agenda. Whatever a Mzungu defecates, they say that that is food. You'll see them eating it. When you look at history, we can also see that we've had amazing, amazing women in African history that can be used as an inspiration for movies. And one of the tragedies of Africa, modern Africa, is that African stories are never told. You always hope that an African director will rise up and make stories about Africa, make stories about our history. We have an amazing history. For example, let me give you, just a short, a few people that I feel deserve a movie. I feel there was Hatshepsut was a fifth pharaoh of the 18th dynasty in Kemet, and she ruled in, I think, 1500 BC. And as you very well know, the pharaonic position was for males, but she was able to become the pharaoh even though she was a woman. She used to dress up like a male pharaoh, and she competently ran Egypt and was one of the most memorable pharaohs ever, which is why we are talking about her today. You would think that she deserves a movie, but no, but not according to Wanuri Kahiu. No, she doesn't deserve a movie. But prostitutes deserve a movie. Another amazing woman that really is a shame that most Kenyan students don't even know who she is, because as you very well know, African history is not taught in Kenya. The history that they teach is European activities in Africa. That's it. They don't teach African history at all. And as you very well know, when you switch on the TV is a foreign space. It's not an African space. The TV itself is totally dominated by foreigners. TV in Kenya, yeah. You'll see programming, 99% of the programming is not only non-African, it is also anti-African. The movies are almost 99.99% a non-African space. You'll rarely see movies made by Africans, especially made by Kenyans. So it was a particular shame that Wanuri Kahiu, instead of using the platform that she has to give life to African stories, she immediately took that platform and gave it to foreign interest so that they can push their nasty agenda in Kenya. And so a story like the story of Amani Reynolds, I know most of you don't know who she was, but let me tell you who she was. Amani Reynolds was the Kandake of Kush. Kandake means ruler. She was the ruler of a kingdom of Kush. And her claim to fame is that she was one of the very few kingdoms to defeat the Romans in open warfare. She personally led an army against the army of Caesar Augustus, I think in 24 BC. And she defeated the Romans, which is why the Romans could never proceed beyond, I think, the third cataract of the Nile. They couldn't get into what we call, Upper Egypt or Sudan because of Amani Reynolds. In fact, they had to sign a peace agreement because they realized they could never defeat her. And even the other Kandakis that came after her were also very strong, and they do actually also deserve, movies. But Amani Reynolds is special because she led the army in person at the front. She was at the front line. And she lost one eye doing battle against European colonialism coming from the Romans. So even 2,000 years ago, Africans were still fighting off European colonialism. You would think that Amani Reynolds deserves a movie, right? But no, she doesn't deserve a movie. Not according to Wanuri Kahiu. Harlots deserve a movie, not Amani Reynolds. See, this is why I deeply detest these coconuts. These wannabe Mzungu Africans, they really make me sick. Seriously. Even coming closer in history to us, in the 1600s, we had an amazing queen of a kingdom called Ndonga, which is now in Angola. She was called Queen Zynga. And as head of government, she was able to resist an invasion by the Portuguese. And not only did she resist that invasion, she was able to organize her army. And when I say organize the army, I mean these women are leading the army from the front. Like, these are warrior women. These are not lazy women. These are not, a queen who's in the palace. This is someone getting on a horse, taking weapons and going to war, leading the army from the front, to the point that even the men have to give her maximum respect. So these are amazing women. These are warrior women. We also had the Amazons. When you hear about the Amazons, women who were an army, what people never realize is that these Amazons literally were in West Africa. I'm not sure whether it was in Ghana, but in one of those kingdoms there. We had entire armies of women soldiers who were very well known, and they were used as mercenaries by various kingdoms. They were so good that the mercenaries were women. You would think that such women deserve a movie. No, not according to Wanuri Kahiu. No, they don't deserve a movie. It's the prostitutes that deserve movies, according to the coconuts. Not amazing women who've done amazing things throughout history. No. Those stories are always suppressed by the coconuts. They're suppressed in the education system, and they are now suppressed in the cultural system. So that movies have become a new tool, a new weapon of basically extending foreign culture in Africa. Not pushing our own narratives, but pushing the foreign narrative. Because the coconuts see themselves not as Africans, but as Europeans stuck in an African body. So they do their best to represent foreign and European interests. And now with the rise of global Luciferianism, now they've allied themselves to the Luciferian agenda as they fight to prepare the way for Dajjal. And so as the ChaChaVi, we want to condemn in the strongest terms possible Wanuri Kahiu for her role in waging war on Africa, waging war on our ancestors, waging war on our dignity, waging war on our culture, waging war on our narratives. We want to condemn her and her treasonous behavior. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Kenya's time has come. Our time has come. Your time has come. A time to succeed and not fail. A time to grow wealth and not poverty. A time to go up and not down. It's time for you to stop walking and drive your car. Stop renting and buy yourself a house. It's your time to get blessed. Join the CCV movement, and together let us kick poverty and unemployment out of Kenya. Become a member today. Donate what you can. And remember that the CCV is the only political organization in Kenya that is squarely built upon Christian values, unlike the rest. We'll see you next time. Thank you.